Right, y'all, I want to talk just a little bit about Richard Allen, following on from what I talked about yesterday on this channel. Now, listen, you cannot try a dead man. And a lot of people agree with me. That Richard Allen has got to stay alive. He's got to be competent to stand trial so that there's a fair justice process for Abby and Libby. Ultimately, this is about Abby and Libby. It's not about Richard Allen. This is about Abby and Libby. Do you want justice for Abby and Libby? You do. All right, let's go from there. So I want to address a couple of comments. Most were great. Most were, well, in my opinion, because you agree with me. But couple, not nasty or anything like that, but you know, just opinions, and that's fine. You're welcome to them. You're welcome to talk about anything at all in my comments, as long as you're respectful. Now, first one. How do I know, just by looking at him, that Richard Allen isn't competent to stand trial? Because I said I don't believe he's competent. I think there will be a challenge to his competency. I think his defence will want him evaluated. Look, he's on 24-hour video surveillance. That's not a common practice, right? You know, if somebody's on suicide watch, they're generally like, 15-minute checks or something like that, right? That's what Epstein was on, and look what happened there. It's not a common practice to put someone under 24-hour video surveillance in their cell. So this dude's on suicide watch. So does that sound like a competent person to you, does it? No. Doesn't to me either. But if you don't think that there's a problem with the way this guy looks, then I'll ask you to look again. If you think this guy looks well, then maybe you should go to Specsavers, which is a place where you can buy glasses, eyeglasses, in the UK. So go to the equivalent of your Specsavers. So how can I tell just by how he looks? Because he looks bad. And people who were in court, reporters, said he looks glassy-eyed, he looks vacant, he looks tranquilised. Why? Why? Because he's on 24-hour surveillance. This guy is a threat to himself. Is he competent to stand trial? Well, he's not been formally assessed, as we know, but in my opinion, no, he's not. And obviously, they can make him competent, they can get him to a point where he's competent, they can improve his mental health. But one, he's got to want that. And two, they've got to actually do stuff to improve his mental health. And the way he's being treated at the moment isn't conducive to that. All right, second point. His attorney meetings being video recorded. Somebody said to me that they're not being audio recorded, they're just being video recorded. You know, it's the same as when he's in his cell. Is it though? Is it though? How do we know that? Because there's reports of staff at the prison recording those meetings through a window. So how do we know that there isn't audio to those recordings? We don't know that. And these confessions that Allen has supposedly made, who were they made to? We don't know. It's been speculated it's in writing to the warden, because that discussion followed immediately on from the prosecution saying that he'd made 5 or 6 confession statements, and then there was a sidebar, and then immediately after they talked about this letter to the warden. But that's just an inference. It might not be true. Has he made those statements to his attorneys and they've been overheard? We don't know. But what I would want, if I was his legal team, I would want every single one of those recordings. Every single one. And I want them to be destroyed. Now, the judge has ordered that they can't record anymore. You know, attorney-client privilege and all that. They can't record him anymore. His meetings with his attorneys have got to be private. Because they're not... It's not part of his suicide watch, that. It's not the same thing at all. Not the same thing. Now, we know that jail phone calls are recorded. And the prisoner knows that they are. So if he's made comments over the phone, then that's one thing. But while we don't know who he's made these confessions to, and also what the nature of these video recordings are that are being made, then I will maintain that any confession that is made, if to his attorneys, falls under attorney-client privilege. The attorneys and him have the right to talk about it, if indeed he's guilty. And it sounds like I'm supporting this guy. I'm not. I support justice. And in this instance, I support justice for Abby and Libby. And at the moment, I'm not seeing that that process is being fulfilled. All right. And also, I'll also add that if he has made confession statements whilst under this suicide watch, then I can't believe any of it. Because he could be saying anything. We know people make false confessions. We know people say all sorts of things when they're mentally unwell. So, there's that. Finally, somebody who lives in the Delphi area, and I appreciate what you're saying here, I really do, that he's in a penitentiary for his own protection because everybody wants him dead in Delphi. So somebody's going to, you know, get away to him if he's in a local jail to kill him. And I appreciate that. Wait, listen, when my son was killed, I wanted to kill the guy. I planned it. I was 90% sure I wasn't going to get caught, but that 10% was worth it in my mind. But then I gave my head a wobble and I said, no, I'm going to trust the justice process, because we don't live in a world of anarchy. We live in a world of justice, of being innocent till proven guilty in a court of law and all of that stuff. All right, so if Alan wants to change his plea to guilty when he's mentally well, good. That's maybe what might happen eventually. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is that there has been no actual attempts on his life. It's all imagined. And I understand that the people of Delphi want him dead. But they've got to trust the process. They've got to trust the process. You can't have vigilantism. That's not justice. So he can be housed in a county jail. That can keep him safe. How's teeth? Brian Koberger's in a county jail. Chris Watts was in a county jail before his sentencing. There were threats on Chris Watts' life. Did anybody get to him? No. Because he was kept safe. And, all right, Carroll County Jail apparently is too small and there's issues with that. So the defence wants him to go to Cass County Jail. And they've got the facilities, so put him there. You can't try a dead man. Justice for Abby and Libby.